Most people lose attention not because of what they say, but because of how they say it. Talk too much, and you sound nervous. Say too little, and you fade out. But there's a hidden balance, where silence pulls more than words, where presence matters more than lines, and where curiosity keeps someone thinking about you even when you're gone. In this video, you'll learn the small moves that create that balance. By the end, you'll see why it's not charm that wins, but control of space, timing, and tension. Most people think they need the perfect words to impress someone. They talk too much, explain too much, and try to prove their value. But the more they push, the less presence they show. Words don't lead, presence leads, and presence comes from slowing down, speaking less, and letting silence carry weight. Think about the last time you met someone who spoke slowly. They didn't rush or try too hard. You probably found yourself leaning in without realizing why. Now think about the guy who kept talking, stacking compliments, and explaining his whole life in 5 minutes. He wanted approval, and because he wanted it, he lost it. The difference isn't talent, looks, or luck. It's the way they handle tension. When you speak less, you create space. Space gives weight to what you say. Weight creates value, and value pulls people in. That's why silence is so powerful. Most people can't handle it. They feel the urge to fill the gap. But when you hold it, the other person feels it more than you do. They lean in, waiting for your next word. Here's an example. Instead of saying, "I really enjoyed meeting you. You seem nice and I'd love to hang out again if you're free sometime," just say, "Good time today," and stop. If she wants to see you again, she'll take it further. If not, you saved your energy. Either way, you spoke from presence. Another example, instead of saying, "Your dress looks amazing. The color really fits you, and I like how you matched it with your shoes. You have great style," just say, "Nice dress," and stop. Then hold eye contact. That pause says more than 20 extra words ever could. Silence isn't empty. It's a frame. It shows that you don't need to fill the space. You're comfortable, and the other person can step into that space if they want. That's real presence. This is the ground rule for everything else we'll cover in this video. Before you learn how to use tension, pauses, or mystery, you need this base. Speak less and hold silence. Start practicing it this week. Do it in normal conversations with coworkers, friends, or even strangers. Say one line, pause, and let the silence breathe. You'll notice people lean forward, look at you differently, or wait for you to continue. At first, it will feel heavy, maybe even awkward. That's how you know it's working. You're shifting the frame. And once you can sit calmly in silence, you'll find that you don't have to chase approval anymore. Others will feel drawn into your space. But what happens when silence feels too heavy, almost like pressure? Now I'll show you how to turn that pressure into pull without forcing or chasing. The real problem, neediness versus presence. If you've ever wondered why some people seem magnetic while others get ignored, the answer is usually neediness. Neediness is when you try too hard to be liked, approved, or chosen. It's when your words, actions, and energy all carry the same hidden message. Please see me as enough. The problem is that people sense this need right away. It shows in your tone, your body language, and even in how fast you respond. And once it shows, it makes the other person pull back. Neediness is not about asking questions or showing interest. It's about the intent behind it. You can ask someone about their day from a calm place, or you can ask because you want them to think you're caring. The first comes from presence. The second comes from need. Presence is solid. It doesn't shake if the other person takes a while to answer. Neediness is shaky. It worries about every pause, every reaction, every delay. Here's an example. Imagine two guys sending a text after a date. The first one types, "Had fun tonight. Let's do it again sometime." Then he puts his phone down and goes to bed. The second one types, "Had fun tonight. Did you? Are you free again soon? Let me know. I'm excited." Then he checks his phone every 5 minutes waiting for a reply. The difference isn't just the words, it's the energy behind them. One comes from presence, the other from neediness. And the truth is, most people think they hide neediness. They believe that as long as they say the right things, no one will notice. But the energy always leaks out. People don't only hear your words, they feel your frame. If your frame is strong, they relax into it. If your frame is weak, they keep distance. So how do you move from neediness to presence? Start by noticing where you chase approval. Notice how often you explain yourself, how often you double text, how often you ask questions just to fill space. Then cut it back. Give space. Trust that silence and patience create more attraction than chasing ever could. This doesn't mean being cold. Presence is not about shutting down or ignoring someone. It's about standing solid in who you are. It's being able to show interest without leaning too far in. It's listening without trying to please. It's responding without rushing to prove yourself. Once you feel this shift, everything changes. You'll notice that conversations slow down. People will share more without you asking. They'll lean in because they sense you're not chasing them. And when you're not chasing, they feel your value. That's the real difference between neediness and presence. Presence doesn't try to be chosen. It already feels like a choice. But if presence is so powerful, how do you actually build it in daily talks? Now I'll show you a simple method that resets your frame fast. Comment if you're stuck on something. I'll answer. And don't forget to subscribe. There are more videos here that can help you, so check them out when you have time. Frame greater than words. Breath, pace, posture. Presence doesn't come from clever lines. It comes from the frame you hold. Frame means the way you carry yourself before you even speak. People sense it right away. If your frame is solid, your words feel heavier. If your frame is shaky, even smart words lose power. Think about posture first. When you stand tall with your shoulders back, your chest open, and your head level, you look calm. You don't have to fake confidence. Your body already speaks for you. Most people don't notice how much they shrink when they feel nervous. They hunch forward, cross their arms, or keep shifting around. All of these little signs tell the other person, you are not steady. Now think about breath. Breath controls energy. When you breathe fast and shallow, your voice speeds up and your mind races. People feel your nervous energy, but when you slow your breath, everything slows with it. Your words come out smoother, your pauses feel natural, and your energy becomes grounded. A simple trick. Before answering any question, take one slow breath through your nose, then speak on the exhale. It resets your frame. Pace is next. Nervous people rush. They want to finish their point before they're cut off. But rushing kills weight. Strong presence means speaking at a slower pace, not dragging, but measured. Think about a judge reading a verdict, or a teacher who has control of the classroom. They don't need speed. They use pace to show control. You can practice by recording yourself. Notice if you run through sentences, then cut your speed by half. At first it feels strange, but on the outside it sounds calm and steady. Your frame also shows in where your eyes go. Presence means you can hold eye contact without flinching, but also break it when you choose. Don't stare like a robot. Just meet the other person's eyes when you speak, then look away slowly when you're done. That small act shows that you're not seeking a reaction. You're simply sharing your frame. All these small cues, posture, breath, pace, and eye contact, send one big message. You are not chasing. You are already steady. You don't need approval. And because you don't need it, people feel it, and they lean into your presence. Try this in practice. Before you start a conversation, stand tall, take 2 slow breaths, and remind yourself not to rush. Even if you only speak a few words, they'll land harder. Over time, this becomes natural. You'll find that you don't have to force presence. It will flow from the way you carry yourself. And once you can hold frame, your words no longer need to carry all the weight. Your presence does the work for you. One's ego. Any questions? Write them in the comments. I read them. Remember to subscribe if you want more videos like this, and have a look at the other ones on my channel. Tension beats. Comfort before, after dialogues. Most people think comfort is the goal. They try to make the other person feel relaxed, safe, and always at ease. But comfort alone doesn't create attraction. Comfort builds trust, but too much comfort kills the spark. Attraction needs tension. Tension is what makes someone lean forward, wonder what's next, and feel the pull. Think about movies. If every scene is calm, you get bored. The best stories mix comfort with conflict, calm with tension. Human connection works the same way. Too much comfort feels flat. A little tension makes things alive. Here's where most people go wrong. They overshare, over-explain, and over-comfort. They keep saying, "I really like you. I'm lucky to be here. You're amazing." These words sound good, but they remove all tension. There's no edge, no curiosity left. The other person feels safe but not excited. Now let's see the difference with tension. Instead of saying, "I'm lucky to be here," you could say, "You've got an interesting vibe. I'm still figuring you out." Notice how that one line changes the frame. It doesn't reject. It doesn't chase. It creates a playful space where they want to know what you mean. That's tension. Another example, comfort talk. "I'll text you tomorrow. I can't wait to see you again." Tension talk. "We'll see what happens tomorrow." The first is safe. The second is open. It leaves space. That gap is what creates pull. Tension also shows up in pauses. After you give a line, don't rush to fill the silence. Let it sit. That pause creates weight. It makes the other person process your words instead of skipping over them. If you say, "You seem hard to read," then stop talking. The silence itself builds the spark. They may laugh, lean in, or ask, "What do you mean?" That's tension doing the work. You can also use playful challenges. Not harsh, just light. For example, if they say, "I always win at this game," you can answer, "I'll believe it when I see it." This doesn't insult. It teases. It creates tension because you're not fully agreeing, but you're also not being cold. It gives space for back and forth energy. Balance is the key. Too much comfort makes you forgettable. Too much tension makes you seem distant. The sweet spot is mixing the two. Start with presence. Add a little curiosity, then layer in tension through pauses, playful lines, and light challenges. That's when the spark grows. When you master this, you'll notice that comfort builds safety, but tension keeps interest alive. Both are needed, but tension is what makes someone stay curious about you. Any questions? Write them in the comments. I read them. Remember to subscribe if you want more videos like this, and check out the other ones on my channel. The 7-second pause. One of the strongest tools you can use is silence. Not long silence that feels like ignoring, but short silence that creates weight. This is where the 7-second pause comes in. Most people rush to reply. The other person finishes speaking, and they jump in right away. They want to fill the space, prove they're listening, and keep the flow moving. But when you do that, you remove all tension. You give no time for your words to sink in. Now imagine this. You answer, then stop talking. You hold silence for 7 seconds. Not stiff silence, just calm silence. You sit with it. At first, you'll feel like it's too long. Inside your head, you'll hear the voice saying, "This is awkward." Say something, but the other person doesn't feel that same panic. To them, it feels like presence. Why 7 seconds? Because 3 seconds is easy and 5 seconds feels short. 7 is long enough to create weight. It's long enough that they notice it, and it's long enough to flip the frame. Instead of you chasing the next word, they start to lean in. Here's how to practice. Next time you say something important, stop talking after the line. Count slowly in your head. 1, 2, 3, all the way to 7. Breathe slow. Keep eye contact if it feels natural, or look away calmly if you want. Then let them break the silence first. Example, you say, "You're not easy to read." Then pause. Don't explain, don't laugh, don't soften the line. Just hold silence. They will fill it. Maybe they ask, "What do you mean?" Maybe they smile. Maybe they tease back. No matter what, the pause created pull. Another example, you're at dinner and they ask, "So what do you do?" Instead of rushing into a long explanation, you say, "I build things." Then pause. 7 seconds of calm silence. Most people can't resist. They'll ask, "Like what things?" That's when you decide what to reveal. You let curiosity grow instead of giving everything away at once. The pause also works when you want to reset the frame. If someone is testing you, teasing you, or giving short answers, don't chase. Say one line, then pause. The silence shows that you're not rattled. It gives you back control without needing to argue or push. At first, this will feel uncomfortable. That's normal. We're trained to fill space. But once you practice it, you'll see how powerful it is. The pause makes even simple words sound heavier. It makes people wait for you. It flips the flow so you lead without trying. The 7-second pause is not about tricks. It's about showing you're steady. And when you're steady, people trust you, listen more, and lean into your space. But silence alone is not enough. You also need to plant lines that stay open in the other person's mind. Now I'll show you the open loop technique. Words don't just land once. The strongest words stay in someone's mind long after you've said them. That's the point of open loops. An open loop is when you say something that doesn't close right away. It makes the other person wonder. It leaves space for them to think about you even when you're not there. Most people close everything too fast. They give the full answer, the full story, and the full explanation right away. That ends curiosity. Nothing is left hanging. Attraction fades because there is no reason for the other person to keep thinking about it. Here's an example of a closed loop. Someone asks, "What kind of music do you like?" You reply, "Mostly hip-hop and some jazz." That's it. The talk ends there. Now compare that with an open loop. They ask, "What kind of music do you like?" You reply, "Depends on the mood. I've got one song that I don't tell most people about." Then you stop. You don't explain. You just leave it there. Now their mind works. They'll wonder what song you mean. They might ask again later. They might think about it on their own. That's the pull of an open loop. Open loops can be small or big. A small loop is a line like, "You remind me of someone, but I can't place it." A big loop is when you tell half a story. For example, "I had the craziest thing happen last week. I'll tell you later." Then you move on. Both versions create the same effect. They make the other person lean in. They want the missing piece. This doesn't mean you should be vague all the time. Too many open loops can feel fake. The goal is balance. Mix clear answers with a few open loops. That way you build trust but also spark curiosity. Here's a way to practice. Next time you're in a conversation, choose one moment to leave space. Give half an answer. Say, "That's a long story," and move on. Notice how they react. Most of the time, they'll ask for more. That's when you know the loop is working. The open loop technique works best when paired with the 7-second pause from the last section. You drop the loop, then you stay silent. That silence multiplies the effect. It makes the loop echo in their head. The power of open loops is not about manipulation. It's about mystery. Mystery is rare today. Most people share everything online, answer every question instantly, and give away every detail. When you don't, you stand out. You show that your story has depth, and depth is what keeps people coming back. But once you plant curiosity, you can't be everywhere all the time. Now I'll show you how absence and re-entry make your presence even stronger. Absence and re-entry. Presence is powerful when you are in the room, but what happens when you leave? This is where absence becomes just as important as presence. Most people think the way to build attraction is by staying available all the time. They keep calling, texting, and checking in, but constant presence turns into noise. Absence is what gives weight to your presence. Think about a song you love. If it plays on repeat every hour, it loses its effect. You still like it, but it fades into the background. Now think about a song you only hear once in a while. Each time it plays, you pay attention. The space in between made it stronger. The same idea works with human connection. When you give space, you allow the other person to miss you, not by ignoring them or playing games, but by simply not flooding them with attention. A short absence makes your return feel fresh. It makes your words feel heavier again. Absence works best when it is natural. Maybe you are busy with work. Maybe you are spending time on your own hobbies. Or maybe you just don't send the first message every single time. The point is, you're not chasing, you're letting space breathe. Now here's the second part, re-entry. Re-entry is how you come back after the space. If you return with neediness, you ruin the effect. If you return with presence, you make the effect stronger. Re-entry can be as simple as one line that ties back to something earlier. For example, "That song we talked about popped up again today," or "You were right about that cafe, I passed by it again." These lines show that you paid attention, but they don't overreach. They reopen the loop. Another way to re-enter is with curiosity. Drop a thought that isn't fully explained, like, "You'd laugh if you saw what just happened to me." You don't need to tell the whole story right away. The line itself pulls them back in. Absence without re-entry feels like fading away. Re-entry without absence feels like chasing. Together, they create rhythm. Space makes your presence valuable. Re-entry reminds them why. You can practice this by pulling back on your normal habits. If you usually send long texts, send short ones and wait. If you usually rush to fill silence, hold it longer. Then when you come back, make it light and simple. Presence, pause, curiosity. That rhythm is what makes people feel pulled toward you even when you're not around. Attraction is not about constant noise. It's about timing, weight, and space. Absence and re-entry turn normal talks into something people remember. They wonder where you went, and they notice when you return. That is the final layer of presence. Presence, silence, tension, and timing. These pieces together create pull without chasing. Rewatch the parts you missed, try them out, and notice the shift. The real change starts when you practice. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more, and drop a comment if you have questions. Like this video if it helped. Check my other videos for more. Next, I'll share simple ways to hold attention, create curiosity, and build presence in any talk.